Hello, and welcome back to the podcast that must not be named. I'm Melissa, and I'm here discussing Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, chapter number 26, The Second Task. This chapter was 30 pages long, and is 4.09% of the book. Today, I am joined by a special guest, everybody's favorite Quidditch correspondent, Abby. Abby, welcome back to the show.
It's really good to be here, guys. Well, Melissa, I guess.
Girls. I'm super excited that Luke is not able to be with us this week. He is off in his Game of Thrones focused time. So I'm hoping to be able to grab him in the next few weeks. But if not, I'm going to keep pulling in people and Abby wins.
You for two reasons. Through me.
Excellent. First of all, because girl episodes are fun, and it's a task episode. It's as closest to Quidditch as we can get, so I had to have Abby.
I know. If you had to put me in an episode, this would totally be it.
And having said that, hey Benj, can you give us a summary?
In class, Harry tells Ron and Hermione about what he learned last night about the egg, Moody, Crouch, and Snape. That night, he sends a letter to Sirius, keeping him updated, and Sirius responds wanting to know the date of the next Hogsmeade visit. Hagrid's back to teaching and is convinced Harry's going to win the whole thing. The trio have been spending their time in the library looking for any information which will make Harry able to spend an hour underwater, but have had no luck. The night before the second task, Ron and Hermione are summoned to Professor McGonagall's office, and Harry keeps searching, ultimately falling asleep late in the night. He is suddenly woken up by Dobby in the morning, warning him that the task is about to start and Harry needed to go save his Wheezy. Harry realizes Dobby means that Ron had been taken. Dobby gives Harry some gillyweed, which supposedly will allow him to breathe underwater. Harry takes it and runs to the lake just in time for the start of the task. He swallows the slimy ball and jumps in. Harry grows gills and webbing between his fingers and toes, which makes it easier for him to swim. After getting past some deep lake creatures, he finds the Merpeople village, and tied to the town center statue are Ron, Cho Chang, Cedric's rescue, a silver-haired girl who looks very much like Fleur, and Hermione, all asleep. Harry uses a rock to free Ron, and when he starts on Hermione's bonds, it is backed off by the Merpeople. Cedric arrives and frees Cho. Crumb shows up with a shark's head and frees Hermione with help from Harry. Harry waits for Fleur, but she doesn't show. Harry frightens off the Merpeople and frees the little girl, pulling her and Ron to the surface, where they are met with applause. They swim to shore where Merperson is telling Dumbledore about how Harry was the last to arrive back because he was the first to show and didn't want to leave any of the hostages behind. Harry receives high marks for his actions, tying him with Cedric in the overall totals lead, and he and Ron get kisses from Fleur for saving her sister. Hermione is so worried about Harry and Ron that she ignores Crumb as he plucks a water beetle from her hair. Harry is grateful to Dobby and plans to buy him more socks than he can imagine next time he goes to Hogsmeade.
All right, so Ab, we're going to start us off with some character introductions. Can you go ahead? Is there any characters that you noticed or that we saw new?
Well, I heard them, but now that I'm trying to read them, this might be difficult. We have Various Merpeople. Oh my gosh, I'm reading it like it's his name. We're cutting that out. It's a little long day. Various Merpeople and the Chieftainess Mercus.
Which, quite frankly, is the longest lettered title, right?
Even when I was just listening to the book, I was like, Chieftainess. I'm like, how does that phonetically come out of my mouth? I'm not sure. But it works. I like it. It sounds very Scottish to me.
It does. Mm-hmm. I'll give you that. There you go.
The chieftain.
I had a problem with it being a chieftainess. Why couldn't she just have been a chieftain? But I let it go.
Well, Mercus doesn't scream
female
maid to me. I mean, I guess chieftain. I don't know.
Right. So maybe it needed to be a distinction. So right. I'm letting it go. We got to go somewhere new, sort of. We've been to the lake. We've never been in the lake. So
like your swimmer's ready.
Like, swimmers take your mark, loud beep, time to go.
Oh my gosh. I thought it was just so funny only because you took it to swimming, like real swimming, and I took it to like putting your little fins on, and you got your beach nose on, and you walk out with your, little pool noodle.
Oh no, man. I've got like, okay, swimmers take your mark, and then everybody has to freeze on the block in their starting position because if you move even a toe, they disqualify you for false start. It's a whole thing. So
we may be sisters, but we, I don't even know what she's going to call it, but we beach in different ways.
This is true. We definitely spend a lot of time at water in very different kinds of water.
Very true.
I believe there was also a mer town in the beach. It wasn't named, but we went there.
Yes.
So I'm going to say, yes, we got to go to a mer town. We also had some magicabulary. It was excessive. So I'm going to have you go ahead and tell us some of the like charms and spells we may have seen.
So we heard about some Vanishing Charms, Drought Charms, Relatio?
Or Relatio.
That's, yeah.
The thing they do with, so Relatio is what they use against the Grindylows.
Yes. And the Bubblehead Charm.
Which is attractive.
I just thought it was just really, what's the word I'm looking for? Practical.
Yeah. It's like a diver, right? With the big aqua head or diver's head. Words are not so much with me today. Okay. However, there was something else in this chapter. There were books and books and books and books and books. So I'm going to try and get through them all.
All
Here
the
we go.
books.
Old and forgotten bewitchments and charms. Saucy tricks for tricky sorts. Weird wizarding dilemmas and their solutions, which I think could be funny because not just solutions like solving a problem, but it could be like potion solutions. That's what I was thinking.
I wasn't, but that's, again.
It just hit me like as I was reading this yesterday. I'm like, ooh, like solutions, like mixtures and chemistry kinds of things, but possibly. Madcap magic for wacky warlocks. I know. A guide to medieval sorcery. An anthology of 18th century charms. Dreadful denizens of the deep. And I have no idea if I said that word correctly.
I think you did. That's how it sounded when I was listening. So cool.
Perfect. I had to really think about that one. I like this one. Powers you never knew you had and what to do with them now you've wised up.
I think when we get through all of these, we have to pick the book we would most want to read.
Okay. There's one more. Here we go. Where there's a wand, there's a way. Okay. Abby, which book would you most want to read?
So it's a toss-up, but I'm going to go with the saucy tricks for tricky sorts. Just because I love the description of saucy.
Yes, and I like the alliteration, like the STTS, like alliteration in the title. Well done.
It could maybe be a rhyming book, and I'm a huge fan of a rhyming book. So, you know.
It's like an alphabet book for, you know what I mean?
It's like a llama llama book for
Dr. Seuss book.
Yes.
Okay, I think I'm going to go with powers you never knew you had and what to do with them now you've wised up. Because to me, that sounds like a practical self-help, but a no-nonsense kind of self-help book.
It reminds me of a book I've heard that you bought for somebody in your family.
That may or may not have words that we don't use on this show.
Yes. That's when I heard it, I was like, that sounds like that book.
Yes. I actually was just given another book with a similar type title of just like, this is how you figure that out. Deal with it. They're very fun. All right. So I have two other magicabulary that came about. One is another charm, but it wasn't named. It was used. So there's some random transfiguration spell that turns your head into a shark.
Is it supposed to just be your head, though? Or was he supposed to become a whole shark? Not necessarily it was not, yeah, I guess. We'll get there.
I feel like if it is just, even if it's turning your whole body or just your head into a shark, that's a very specific spell that seems to have, not a lot of uses that you could apply out in the real world. But that's just me. Then we also had gillyweed,
yes,
which I'm sure we'll get to as we continue on down this path. But gillyweed was a new magicabulary. And then there's one more thing we have to talk about.
Ooh.
And wherever Luke is, I need him to realize that I'm paying attention. We had an illustration.
You gotta crack it open. Ooh, okay.
It looks like a big ball of tentacles.
Yes.
Wet tentacles.
It's a big book, guys. Sorry, I'm still getting there. And, oh man, I can't even tell you what I'm doing right now. So I'm going to go with big ball, wet tentacles, kind of looks like yarn. I'm in the wrong book.
I was going to say, $10 if you pulled the wrong book off your shelf.
They're even in numerical order. Like, that's probably the first time it ever happened, and I pulled the wrong one.
She just thinks we should be on book 7 by now. We're not.
No, I don't. No, I don't. I really enjoy book 4, actually.
Good. So big ball of tentacles. Not quite how I imagined the squid, but I think that's what this is supposed to be, possibly.
I mean,
it's not how I picture a Grindylow. I don't think.
I have questions about Grindylows, like what they look like. So, but yeah, this would be more squiddish, maybe. It looks like slimy yarn to me. And if you are a crocheter and your yarn gets wet, nothing will make you more angry than that. So,
like, because it's all expanded and
it doesn't slide through your fingers, so it's like pulling, because it's like the worsted weight yarn. It gets like kind of sticky and doesn't slide.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm finally in the right book, but yeah, it's left open to interpretation, I think.
Yeah, I don't think it's a Grindylow because I looked up the Grindylow's description and it has long fingers, it's pointy fangs there, a webbed... I'm pretty sure that's the squid. That's what I'm going to go with.
I'm good with squid.
So we're going to jump into our in-depth analysis part, and I'm going to start with my first kind of idea because, as we were talking earlier, we kind of had the same one. Okay. They start by in Flitwick's class, right, doing Vanishing Charms, which, by the way, sounds amazing, right? Like, especially if you could use it on a person. Sounds terrible.
Yeah, man, so many ways we're different, but so many ways we're alike. I was like, how fun does it... Even, like, I'm going to banish that fruit snack wrapper off my ground.
Yes. Like, and you just send it to the trash can or something?
Anywhere. Away from... Yes.
Get away from me.
Yes.
I don't want this around me anymore.
Yes.
Yeah, that sounds great. But it's totally funny that Professor Flitwick gets sent flying across the room.
Yeah. I feel bad for him.
Nah, he set himself up for it. I'm sure it's fine.
So, when I was reading this, I was like, man, like, when things just don't go as you've planned them. Like, it's just one of those, like, this was this great, fun idea. We were prepared. I thought I had thought of all of it, and it's almost a Pinterest fail.
Oh,
like,
it's like the teacher meme, keep calm and pretend it's on the lesson plan.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, I just kept thinking, like, oh, poor guy. Like, because I can see, like, the fun, and he's trying to be prepared. It's just kind of chaos, which is a nice time to...
Even brought pillows as, like, a just in case for safety concern, which, let's just be glad he's considering safety.
Yeah. And I also thought it was very funny how Harry and Ron used this, like, pandemonium to have a private conversation.
Oh, yeah.
And they're just like, here, we'll just swoosh some things. Ron's real bad at it. He's like willy-nilly with his with his wand. I find that very funny.
I do. I do have one small problem with this, though. This is the issue that I've had with this entire book. It's a small issue. It's the fact that Flitwick being banished across the room was done by Neville.
It's always Neville.
It's always Neville. Why does it always have to be Neville? Why can't it be Dean or Lavender or somebody else making a mistake? I'm sure the rest of them are not perfect, too.
Right.
I get it.
Can I bring up a movie? I mean, I won't. It's not, but we can.
Is it a spoilery movie?
No. But in the movies, even up to this point, we see Seamus making lots of, like, explosions.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we share that blame way more in that medium than we do in the books.
Yes, I agree with you. And yet, poor Neville. Like, and I don't mean poor Neville because he can't do it, but poor Neville because it keeps being foisted upon him.
Yeah. All
right. Then, like, Sirius writes back the shortest letter ever.
Yes.
Right? Like, he gets a letter back and it has one sentence. Send date of next Hogsmeade weekend by return owl. Harry's, like, crushing disappointment that Sirius doesn't have some big answer for him, and then he realizes I forgot to tell him about the egg clue.
What are you gonna do? Like,
I get it.
Yeah, I just feel incredibly bad because that's like one of those self-hating moments, or
yes,
it's wasn't out of his control. It's just an oversight that all you can do is suck up and deal with it on your own, and that stinks for him.
Like, the reason he didn't, that's kind of the part that sticks with me, is like, he didn't because he was so busy giving him this information about other people.
Right.
And his reasoning is, Sirius told me to tell him anything out of place. I understand. But Harry's immediate need is the task.
Yes.
Not being super secret spy guy on with the Crouch and the Snape and the Moody and all that stuff. So, I don't know. It's a little bothersome to me. So, but it's fine. And then we continue on, and we're in Hagrid's class, right?
Yes. Yes.
Which he's continuing the unicorn lessons, and if I had a good Darth Vader voice, I would do it in Darth Vader voice. I find your lack of poisonous fangs disturbing. Like, I have no other thoughts on that. I found it funny that literally the sentence says, it was clear that he found their lack of poisonous fangs disappointing. It's like Darth Vader.
Yes.
I'm with you.
The biggest thing I think about Hagrid's class is that Hagrid's, you're going to win. You're going to win. And all Harry hears is, you're going to let him down. It's never Harry even letting himself down. Like, I'm sure he wants to win, or he wants to do well because he doesn't have it in him to not care. But the overarching, like, pressure that's on him is the disappointment on everybody, like, that he'll feel from everybody else, or it's okay. Right. Like, I don't even know. The fear of being pitied more, or the fear of, I'm not sure. But it's sad.
I don't think it's about him. I think it's about doing it for them.
Yes. And
I agree.
Man, to let people down, that's a task in of itself to carry.
So let's talk a little bit about the Harry, Ron, and Hermione spending some time trying to find some answers.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Party task.
Yes. I have some, not issue, I'm not frustrated with it, but I just find it really hard to believe that Harry and Hermione could not think of a single way to breathe underwater for an hour. Humans have been doing it. Not humans, sorry. Muggles have been doing it for a century at this point, at least. If not earlier. I didn't fact check this, but, they had those big, giant, like...
Yep.
Would it have been against the rules for him to order, say, some scuba gear?
Right.
Like, I'm not kidding. He could have just, even if they don't have it in the magical world, maybe Mr. Weasley. Sorry, I'm going to turn my phone off. Maybe Mr. Weasley, or maybe he could have just, wrote a note to any shopkeeper and been like, look, I specifically need this. Here's like 9 gajillion galleons. Right. Go to the store, ask them specifically for this, and bring it to me. Like,
no one, not a single. Well, and then here's the other thing. Like, think of it as an investment. If you win, you get money back.
Right.
There's prize money. So, and it's not like the other people didn't prep too, because they all were given. It's not like the first task where it was the element of surprise with the dragons, but this one, it was once you figured out the clue, like, nobody's stopping you from doing research or getting what you need, right? I'm going to give you some basic information. What are you good at? How do you get what you need? It still applies.
Yeah. So I just don't know why, like, we couldn't just got some scuba gear and just left it at that.
I don't know.
And he also, like, in his ramblings of, I'm never going to do this, and like self-doubt, and this is like horrible. And he's like, what if a teacher had once mentioned how to breathe underwater? Hermione would have known.
That's true.
Like, that thought, it has never been mentioned because she would have known. Unless it happened in the second year when she was petrified.
Or in the class with the crazy teacher, Trelawney. Divination.
Yeah.
When she left, which is highly unlikely.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm just saying.
But yes, just mail away for some scuba gear. Like, I don't...
Or, like, because let's say this task was happening right now, right? Mm-hmm. And it was, like, my kid, roughly the same age, right? What would she do?
Ask her literally mom? Or...
She'd Google it.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Like, yes, I definitely.
You do a YouTube search and you figure out what Instagram says about it. Like, you look it up. Well, he didn't have that. But you know what he did have? Pre-Google. It's called a librarian.
Yes. Yeah. Why didn't you just ask a librarian?
And I've had this issue before where it specifically, like, it said you can't ask a teacher for help. That was like way back in the first rules. It wasn't that you couldn't get help. It's that you couldn't ask your teacher for help. One, a librarian is not a teacher.
She's a librarian.
She's a research assistant. That's like her job. And I'm doing research for a project for school. Happens to also be something that is like a life or death kind of situation. But still, like, I think Harry is too literal with his translation of what asking for help looks like. Like, he's so afraid in this chapter that Hermione and Ron were going to McGonagall's office because they were in trouble for helping him. Nobody said you can't have help from other kids.
And he's focused on it. Like,
yes. It's amazing to me, the rule followerness of this.
Think that had Ron been Muggle born, he'd been like, well, we'll just get you some school gear.
Well, like, and they do say, let's get some aqua lungs, which I think is like Britishisms for it. And their theory is we can't, because you can't just summon it, because like international statute of secrecy, people will see it flying. They don't consider ordering it. Right. And then Hermione's like, even if you get it here, you can't figure out how to work it within an hour. Pre-order, man.
Yes.
Amazon.
That's what I'm saying. Amazon Prime that.
You can get it in 24 hours if you really need it.
Shoot, and sometimes by drone, I've heard. I don't live in a big enough city, but I've heard that happens.
I don't think I do either.
Yeah. So.
But it's pretty quick.
And my last, it's a little bit of a, not annoyance, I don't even know what, just qualm or.
We're just noticing.
Yeah, like, you didn't ask Sirius, but what if that's like the day Sirius missed at school? I don't know. And like, you have a pretty large group of, and maybe he doesn't feel like that, but Ron's dad would have helped you, or Molly, or Bill. Like, none of them could have.
George. You're right. Like, they're at least 2 years older. They're in like the right age group who's supposed to be able to do this. And I guess
he's really stuck on he's supposed to be doing this alone, but nobody acquires information on their own. And I guess unless they're the actual researcher, but they're basing their stuff off of something other people have done and building upon it.
Right.
So, I don't know. I guess it's just too much of a rule follower. That's weird.
I know. It's, it seems almost against character for Harry to be that much of a rule follower. But I think he's so afraid. Mm-hmm. Like, this terrible thing has happened to me. Nobody sees why it's terrible. These kids are all big kids. Like, they're much older. They've been in school for a long, like, I don't think he sees them as getting help, but I guarantee they are.
Yep. It's just anxiety. Like, it's not a fun time to be Harry Potter.
Is it ever a fun time to be Harry Potter? I mean, there hasn't been a lot of times
this is
yet.
True. I guess this is pretty status quo Harry Potter. Poor guy.
Aw, poor Harry. Okay. Hermione and Ron leave. Harry keeps working, sort of. He gets kicked out of the library. And then he goes back to the common room.
Right.
He sneaks back to the library. Doesn't get caught this time, sneaking. So, I mean, that's an improvement. And then he falls asleep.
Yeah. Hold on. Wait. I need to. No, I don't. Never mind. You did mention it. I was like, oh, I have a book in here. You didn't say. You have it. Just kidding. You didn't mess up.
What was the book?
The Madcap Magic for Wacky Warlocks.
I got it.
Yep. You got it. You got it.
All right. So Harry falls asleep, and I know you had a thought about that.
I do. So I am plagued personally often by, I guess you call it insomnia, but just not being able to fall asleep. And then it's like at the worst possible moment, it just overcomes you and you miss everything. Like, it doesn't matter what's going on, who's around, who needs you. Your body said sleep, and that's what it did. So waking up from that, I know that, first of all, he's already in this anxiety-ridden, like, terrible spot. Then you wake up, I fell asleep, I still don't know what I'm going to do. Now I'm late, now I haven't shown up. And this poor kid.
Right?
Like, this is a bad day.
Yes.
This is a bad day.
It's a bad day. My only thing on it when he fell asleep is that there was a dream.
Yes.
Luke, wherever he is, this is for you, Luke. There was a dream alert, and the dream says this. The mermaid in the painting in the prefect's bathroom was laughing. Harry was bobbing like a cork in bubbly water next to her rock, while she held his firebolt over his head. Come and get it, she giggled maliciously. Come on, jump. I can't, Harry panted, snatching at the firebolt and struggling not to sink. Give it to me. But she just poked him painfully in the side with the end of the broomstick, laughing at him. That hurts, get off, ouch. And then, of course, that's really Dobby waking him up. But I don't think there's any big significance. I think he's just stressed out. And probably the fact that the firebolt won't help him this time.
Yeah.
But I wanted to give the shout out to the dream.
Dream alert.
Right. And then there's Dobby, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I love Dobby. I feel like I've always loved Dobby, but maybe I haven't. I'm not sure. I can't be like, well, I always knew he was right. Because I don't really know. But I just want to point this out at this very moment that you, Riley, I've been waiting. I've just been waiting to be like, see why you were so wrong? It's okay to be wrong. But Dobby, he's a good dude.
He is a good dude. Like, what would have happened if there was no Dobby?
He'd just stick his head in the lake. I don't know.
Oh my gosh. So I'm so glad Dobby was there because I had this other thought. So I wonder, so Harry almost missed the task, right? Thank goodness Dobby cares enough about Harry.
Right.
Because with Hermione and Ron gone, does no one really even think about Harry needing to be anywhere? Like, nobody is keeping track of him. Nobody pays attention to the fact that he was never in the room. Like, I don't even know how to phrase my concern there that a champion went missing and nobody cared.
Right.
Except for a house elf.
And is it like, oh, well, if he doesn't show up, then like that's his prerogative? Like, is that what we're doing? But we were just told that this was like a magically binding conquest that you have to be in. If you put your name in, don't do it lightly. Yeah, if you want to sleep in the library, that's cool too.
Like, do you die if you don't show up?
Yeah. 0 points for you.
Fine. I'll just take the 0.
Right. I don't.
At this point, it's that or drowning. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's a little baffling. I'm getting baffled up here.
All right. So before we actually get to the task itself,
yes,
do you have any other thoughts about Dobby or the pre-work before we jump to the lake or jump in the lake, really?
Go jump in a lake. I think it's really nice that we get a little bit of the payoff here of what happens when you show your inferiors kindness. He got some good positive karma. And I don't necessarily see this as Dobby being, subservient to Harry. It's Dobby looking out for his friend, for, the coolest guy he knows, the best guy he knows, And
the fact that it's a human isn't a big deal. It's just, he's my friend, right, regardless of.
And he has things to do, and I'm going to make sure he gets there and gets them done, or at least shows up.
And has what he needs.
Yes. That's a friend. That's good stuff.
Good job, Dobby. Ooh, something else cute about Dobby. The way he called Ron his Wheezy. You need to get your Wheezy.
And again, in this woken up kind of, oh boy, state. Am I what? I don't know if the first time reading through I thought, Ron, I don't remember. But it totally makes sense. It's so great.
It's like what a 3 or 4-year-old would do.
Yes. Like
my son, who is a kindergartner, he has a friend who just moved in across the street. Her name is Auburn. But because he's never heard that as a name before, and his other friend is Albert, he calls this girl Alburn. No, it's not Alburn. It's right. Auburn. But it's that idea of, it's not Wheezy, it's Weasley. But it's like a pronunciation thing that makes sense.
Well, and what are the other
Hard
elves
to understand.
that we know named? Do we have any other named elves?
Winky.
So that's like Winky, Dobby.
Easy. Yeah.
Right. Like that makes... That is
Harry.
Right.
I just think it's funny that it is absolutely something you could have somebody who maybe isn't used to, and we don't know if elves speak English to each other. Maybe they have a whole other language that they speak too, like
Elvish.
Just like Tolkien.
See, I think there's a whole thing written. I think it's an actual language.
It is.
I think you could learn
different world.
Oh, sorry.
It's Middle Earth, but it's fine. Like maybe they're descendants of Legolas and Galadriel. Who knows?
I sure don't, but I'll take your word for it.
All right. So then we get to the lake.
Yes.
Good thing he had some gillyweed, because what do you think would have happened if he didn't have that? Do you think we could have just like, do you really, what do you think would have happened if he actually did stick his head in and yell, "Give me it back, okay?"
You never know until you ask. I mean, that's the truth. So,
excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
You have something that belongs to me.
He didn't ask, so you'll never know. But it might have worked.
And it qualifies as trying.
Right. So he wouldn't have been, I don't know, like taken out right there. I'm not really sure, you know.
Whatever the consequence is for not completing the task. Like,
right.
I tried. I showed up. I asked. I stuck my head into the water for as long as I could. I'm out.
Yeah. Oh, and even getting to the task. I mean, swimming is, personally, I think it's like the biggest aerobic exercise that you can partake in. You've got to be really fit to really swim. But let's add on top of that a sprint straight there for how many miles? I don't know.
I mean, probably like a mile and a half. That would, or at least a quarter mile, like 3/4 of a mile. Like, it's not super far, but it's not
flat
right out the front door.
I mean, I'm going to guess at some point it's going to go downhill, which will get you some speed, right. But at some point we're going up hills. Man, that's not the way.
It's not like they have PE class to stay like in shape.
No, my goodness, like he's already had like lack of sleep, no breakfast, no hydration, sprint straight there, whistle blows, dive in. You can't even breathe at this point. Like, this is not a good day. This is worst of the worst circumstances happening for an athlete.
And I'm going to bring this back to my complaint from the first task, okay? Do you remember why the Quidditch season was canceled for the year?
Because of this?
Because the teachers will be too busy with this task. You know, the teachers who aren't allowed to help.
Never mind.
Quidditch was only ever played on Saturdays. These tasks always like take the place of class.
Right.
That's all. I had to throw that out there.
I mean,
this was a Tuesday, correct?
Quidditch should have been played. This is blasphemy at this point to me.
I'm with you. I'm just saying, I'm finding all the reasons why we could easily have had a Quidditch season.
And maybe Harry couldn't have competed because...
Yes, because, okay, fine. You've been bumped up a league. You can't play in the low... I'm with you. But
fine. Nobody else could have been a seeker? No.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Where are we going from here?
I think your next note kind of goes along with that, too.
Oh, yeah. So... Man, I do have a lot of thoughts about all this stuff.
You do. I think you should just roll it.
Okay, ready? So I think it is really, maybe I'm jealous, I think. If I had a task coming up the next day where I had to go jump into a body of water, any water, in front of hundreds of people, I could not wake up, not have like a swimsuit on, be completely prepared. And he does, the 40-yard dash, jumps in, takes his socks off, maybe a shirt. I don't really know what the actual description was, and just jumps in all fancy and free like. I don't think that happens for a girl. I mean, it could, but man, the freedom.
Here we go. The whistle echoed shrilly in the cold, still air. The stands erupted with cheers and applause. Without looking to see what the other champions were doing, Harry pulled off his shoes and socks, pulled the handful of gillyweed out of his pocket, stuffed it into his mouth, and waded out into the lake.
See, yeah, I don't know.
And I'm assuming he's wearing like pants and a shirt or shorts and a shirt and not his big robes because it was like evening and he had been studying. Maybe he's still in his pajama, like whatever. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, because he did go up to his dorm room, like.
Or at least the house.
Yeah, I guess we don't know specific. Well, he grabbed his cloak.
His invisibility cloak. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So,
I mean, I guess maybe he wouldn't put pajamas on, but either way.
But still, like, probably not in like school robes. But
freedom. I'm just jealous.
Yeah, could not do that as a girl.
Nope. So, point for the boys, I think. Good for you.
Oh, look, boys' lives are easier. Oh. Surprise.
Till they have to deal with us. Oh, boy. Good luck, gentlemen.
That's right.
So, I think gillyweed sounds particularly terrible. Not only the taste, it's slimy, and I forget the other things that but like octopus tentacles.
All right. So it said he was chewing the gillyweed as hard and fast as he could. It felt unpleasantly slimy and rubbery, like octopus tentacles. Maybe that's what the picture was. Maybe that's what the gillyweed was.
The gillyweed, yeah, that has
all of. Oh God,
yes. Okay.
Gross.
Yes.
Ugh.
So
okay, gag reflex.
Not only do I think this sounds particularly terrible in taste and texture, but it also reminds me of having a terrible asthma attack or going into anaphylactic shock, which are worsely terrible. So, I think gillyweed sounds pretty terrible until you get that first gulp of water. Then it's, you've got the respirator.
Then, quite suddenly, Harry felt as though an invisible pillow had been pressed over his nose and mouth. He tried to draw a breath, but it made his head spin. His lungs were empty, and he suddenly felt a piercing pain on either side of his neck. It skips. He had gills, and then he did the only thing that made sense. He flung himself forward into the water. The first gulp of icy lake water felt like the breath of life.
I think that if you've had a severe asthma attack and you get that first breath back in, you would probably feel that way, or, get the EpiPen. Oh, open up those airways. So it's a very descriptive, just way of explaining, like, you can't breathe. It's not fun. And it tastes terrible.
What it feels like.
Yes. I should be sprouting gills, but I'm not.
Here's my body of water when I need it.
Right, exactly.
That I'm not prepared for, but it's fine. I just like, as he's sort of swimming down to our mer town in the bottom of the lake, that he's attacked by the Grindy. I don't like that he's attacked by the Grindylows, but I like that when he's attacked by Grindylows, he's able to use some of the things that Professor Lupin had taught him in the year before. It's nice to know that came into use.
I always like a good Lupin reference.
I always like a good, hey, this thing that you learned in school has real life applications. So,
unlike algebra. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. I'm joking. It was a joke.
Algebra has real life connotations. Chemistry?
It's neither here nor there until you burn your hands with bleach. Dumb.
Also true. All right, yes. Moving on. How do you feel about the task itself?
Well, again, like I said,
here's the thing. We like the chapter. It's not a bad chapter. Sorry, we should have said that up front. Continue.
Yes, I really do. But I have some real qualms with a task or a tournament or a sport or whatever you want to call this.
A competition of some sort.
There is no clear method of acquiring points. None at all. They're subjective, I guess. There are no clear rules. There's no real supervision, and I'll defend my stance on that. There's not even, so we have like no real preparation, but there's no real like ask of them. Like what, I get that there's like this clue and they have to figure it out. So it's like a mind, you gotta be smart. But then we have confusing mixed messages about you need to retrieve what was taken from you. And if you don't, they will perish. That's not really a fair thing to throw at somebody. Whether you get down there and you see 4 people who you assume are going to drown under the water and you're just going to leave them. I have no problem with Harry Potter's hero being here. Like, you're just going to leave. It's just very frustrating to me that all of these competitors have no clear, this is what is set up this is what we want. The best will be who can, I don't know. Like, it just frustrates me. And I get that this is not your normal Quidditch match, but...
This just hit me as you were talking, because up until about 15 seconds ago, I agreed with you.
Yes.
What if all of those things were told to the champions when Harry wasn't there because he was late? What if they sat down and they said, okay, here's the thing. You have to go find your person, because Fleur's sister's 8.
Right.
She was not at Hogwarts.
Right.
Fleur knew her sister was down there at the end. She's like, where's my sister? So she knew. So my assumption is that they were told ahead of time, you're going to get so-and-so, you're going to get so-and-so, you're going to get so-and-so, you're going to get so-and-so. Maybe not the, like, oh, you have to save them, the prospects. You know what I mean? Maybe that part isn't addressed, but that idea of, this is your person you're getting.
Yes.
And and the rule is you have to be the first one back. Like, maybe they were more clear in that, because Cedric had no problem going just for Cho. Krum had no problem going just for Hermione.
But who else would he go for? I think
that's the thing. Like, because I think Cedric's a decent enough guy that if he really thought that, he would have gotten more than one.
Yes.
And if Krum is a decent enough guy, which he seems like it, if he sees Hermione's best friend sitting there next to her, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, or an 8-year-old little girl.
Right.
They're going to ignore an 8-year-old little girl? Like,
I was really questioning their
I agree
morals.
And I literally was up until 30 seconds ago. I'm hoping, benefit of the doubt, it's possible they were told all that. That there was that this is just like with the dragons, this is yours.
Yes.
This one's yours. You're only like, maybe they were explicitly told, only get yours.
I really like your reasoning behind that. Like, I really hope that's what it was. But then at the end, the points. Why is Harry rewarded for trying to save them all?
When it was his fault that he was late in the first place.
Exactly, because he would have had the information. Your problem.
Yeah.
Because nobody cared he was in the library. But, I mean, either way.
But the Mer people, I think that was the Mer people arguing for him, because they saw something in him.
Right.
And I think without that, he wouldn't have done well.
Right. Thank goodness for the Mer people. I had another thought on this. So the whole thing, like, you're going to get your person, but like Ron comes up and he's like, oh, you didn't try to save everybody, did you? They weren't going to let us drown. We weren't in any real danger. Who was down there to make sure of it? Because I'm pretty sure that Krum's misshapen, jacked up chompers were coming at Hermione way in too close, to the point Harry stops him and hands him a rock to, like, would she not have been chomped to bits? I don't know. Who knows?
I don't know. I'm looking at it. It says, the shark man swam straight to Hermione and began snapping and biting at her ropes. The trouble was that Krum's new teeth were positioned very awkwardly for biting anything smaller than a dolphin, and Harry is quite sure that if Krum wasn't careful, he was going to rip Hermione in half. Darting forward, Harry hit Krum hard on the shoulder and held up the jagged stone. Krum seized it and began to cut Hermione free. So it's not that he was chopping up Hermione.
Well, yeah,
that Harry was afraid of it.
But even Krum taking the stone, I think, shows that he was even like, oh, this is kind of iffy. Yeah, I'm getting kind of close. We'll see.
Right.
I also don't think it's fair that Harry's 2 best friends are down there.
Mm-hmm.
And again, if we're going to believe that everybody was told who they're going to get at the beginning and Harry missed that, that's on him. Fine. Right. Like, that's
not canon. We don't know. That's just a random, like,
what if? This is or like, right. But if not, and we don't know, I think it is very unfair that he has to pick between 2 people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, regardless of his feelings on, like, letting the other 2 die, like, in his head. But now you have to literally play the game of,
like, what if
pick?
What if Dobby hadn't known it was Ron? What if Dobby just knew he had to get down to the lake and you have to go underwater?
You have to go get somebody, or it was just somebody, or something.
It's Ron and Hermione.
Right. Like, what do you do?
Right. Well, and Joe, like, his longtime crush, right? So he's got, like, 3 people that he cares about and a little girl.
A helpless little girl. Like, that's just...
Right. Like... Harry's not wrong for wanting to save them. I think I am really starting to think if he had been there on time,
he may have known.
There might have been a little more clarity. Maybe not quite so specific, but at least a little more clear. Like, it's okay if you leave that, something like.
Yeah, I
don't know, but then it like ruins the
Triwizard like scariness factor that they have going on. Like,
well, at least like don't get anybody else's. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Maybe it was that specific direction.
And then last thing maybe not last thing, but Crumb had not a single other person than this girl he met how many months ago? Like, not that Hermione's not worthy. She totally is.
Right.
But that was it. We flew or boated in or whatever. I believe her name is Gabrielle.
Yes.
But Crumb, like, doesn't have a distant cousin he cares about. I don't know.
With Cedric, same thing. He picked some girl. I mean, and I think the part we're kind of like glossing over is the intensity of teenage love.
Yes.
I do. And so I can see that. But if that had been me and I was a senior in high school, it probably would have been my baby brother. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, because I have a baby brother and I have a lot of siblings. And not that I don't love all of you equally, but Riley was all of 6 months old when I was a senior. So
well, that was where you were protecting. Right. Like if we were all down there, sorry guys, you're going to have to swim because I'm going to get the baby. Like that's, it's not really, I take no offense. I completely agree.
Let's all just be scared if we're in a situation where I'm the one who has to save you all, because that's a problem. But
she's picking herself and she's going home, folks.
Just saying, there's a reason why I'm the team manager and not a player on our family Quidditch team. So but I do. Was there a best friend that you've been in school with for 7 years? Hermione's pick is the only one that makes sense.
Right.
That's not true. Fleur's does too. Fleur and Harry, that makes sense. Yeah, the two boys are.
I mean, maybe it's just
hormones.
Yeah. And my last qualm, and I'm sorry that I totally just ripped on this chapter, but I did notice that, I love this. I think it's so interesting. But Harry's entitled use of magic on and a wand on the Mer people. Is this using his status as being on, as a being? Wow, I'm going to reread that. Is this using his status as a being on someone with only a status of a creature?
So, like, Mer people technically have a status, like, of being a creature. They're not considered a being, and therefore no voice necessarily in the government. And they don't actually have magic in themselves, other than they are just considered like a protected entity, if you will. The fact that he actually pulled out his wand and threatened them.
It surprised me. I don't think he's wrong. I mean, because
you do what you got to do.
Exactly. Like, I dislike the, I don't know, status, I guess, of everything, because it's just representative of so many other things. So it bothers me. But at that point, what he was working through, I don't know, like.
Right. Well, and they weren't unarmed. They just weren't armed with a wand.
Yes. But they were clearly fearful of it. Like, he got his way.
Like, if you've got a town full of people coming at you with pitchforks.
Exactly.
Do you pull out your rifle? You do. Like.
Yes.
In that kind of hostile environment.
You use what you have.
Right. And or at least you threaten to use what you have and you hope it stops everybody.
Yep.
And diffuses the situation, which it did.
Pull out the big guns. Or the big wands, I guess.
Oh, I thought it was really interesting that Dumbledore could speak Mermish.
What can't that man do?
I don't know, tie shoelaces or something. It'll be something really random like that, right? Like,
but he probably just prefers those like 80s squiggly lace things.
In neon green.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I bet he wears toggles for sure.
Yeah. Oh, toggles.
I bet they're on those squashy purple sleeping bags.
Where are my squashy purple sleeping bags?
So cozy.
You know what would be a good time for a squashy purple sleeping bag? After coming out of the lake in the second task.
Yes.
Right? Like, no random blanket or towel wrapping me up. Give me my squashy purple sleeping bag.
And, sorry, one last final point, and I promise I'll let you
Oh, you're fine. I probably got one more too.
So let me make sure it's not yours. Okay, no, it's not. So everybody's like, Dumbledore wouldn't have let us die down there with all the protection and this, that, and the other. Why did every single, what's the word I want to use? Like a judge or look relieved as they came out of the lake alive, besides Kokoroff. They all were relieved at their appearance. If nothing could have happened down there, what's the need of relief? They were all perfectly safe. I don't think they were.
I'm just looking to see, like, if there was a specific thing about the judges themselves. Like, there's a thing about Madame Maxine trying to restrain Fleur. There's after Dumbledore and Ludo stood beaming at Harry and Ron.
Yep.
Percy, who looked white and somehow much younger than usual.
Yeah.
Because Percy's freaking out because it was his brother. So all those kinds of things. Oh, here it is. And then Hermione's like, Harry, how did you figure it out? And he says he would have told her about Dobby, but he had just noticed Karkaroff watching him. He was the only judge who had not left the table. The only judge not showing signs of pleasure and relief that Harry, Ron, and Fleur's sister had gotten back safely.
So they were all perfectly safe. Thank God. You were fine the whole time.
It was fine. I don't know what the problem is.
Yeah, you're alive, but did you die?
Yeah.
Terrible.
You want to know why he didn't die? Really? It all comes back to Dobby.
Yep.
Sorry.
It does.
Dobby deserves all the socks in the world.
He does. And I think that is the most amazing present ever.
Because it says that he's going to buy Dobby a pair of socks for every day of the year.
And that means an entire year without having to match your socks. You can just leave them all till January 1st, wash them up, and start that new year again. And not have to do it for the rest of the year. There's nothing better than a new pair of socks.
And they won't get worn because you'll wear a new one every day.
Oh, man.
And that's even on the days you wear socks.
That is true. I probably only need like 75 pairs, maybe, max.
I probably need half a year, but that's it. All right, Ab, are you ready for your 5 burning questions?
I am so ready.
All right, here we go. Question 1. Ron theorizes during research that the second task is undoable. What is the likelihood of actually having an impossible task?
In the Triwizard Tournament?
Yes.
Okay. I think all the tasks will be doable by design and doable in multiple different ways, but doable for a 14-year-old? I don't know. I don't know if the level of wizarding or magic knowledge is there. There may be some that are not doable for a wizard of his age. Right.
Right. I just wonder, like, would they design one that was purposefully
undoable?
Accomplishable to, as an untask, as in if there is no answer,
then
how do they handle that?
Well, yeah, I could totally see that then, because that's, them just giving points out, like, none of you completed this task. Congratulations, you all get points.
Because of how you handled.
Right.
That the task was not, the task they assigned was not really the task they were judging.
Right.
What they were judging was their ability to, either improvise or handle the
stress, the disappointment, or your character.
Continue trying different ways.
Yes.
It was like a task within a task, but that the initial task assigned could be.
Yeah. I think you're right.
I think that would be an interesting.
I would not.
If I was designing a task, not doing a task, because that would make me mad if I was doing a task. But if I was designing a task, yeah, I would totally make one of them like that.
I would dislike that a lot. How do you win at something you don't even know what you're trying to accomplish?
Oh, you would know. It just wouldn't be possible.
Oh, I know, but
I can't do it. You literally can't do it.
Like the whistle just keeps blowing. I didn't touch it with my hands, but I didn't touch it with my feet. That I'm blowing on it. I don't know what to do.
Okay, question 2. And we've kind of touched on this, but what is your stance on Harry ensuring that all 4 hostages were rescued?
It's wavering just with the thought of, had the other contestants been given prior knowledge? I don't know.
So let's assume that they know what Harry knows, because at the moment we have no proof.
So I think if all we're going on is just what Harry knows, I think he's well within the right here. I'm surprised the other ones didn't, or maybe it was just so clear cut. Oh, this is mine, I'm going, and had like faith in their other competitors. Mm-hmm. But you have this terrible song, like.
Well, plus Harry's there. He was first.
He's first, and he's sitting there watching. It didn't seem like, as I was reading, like minutes ticking away, but time is like ticking, and nobody's showing up, and okay, finally the first. Okay, he's gone. Okay, what do I do with the other three? Mm-hmm. Okay, I got one. You know, so.
I mean, maybe they realize Harry's there to take care of it. Like, okay, you're here, then I got mine.
Yes. Like, I'll take. And I feel, I don't know, I just don't see another way of doing it when you're being told, like, they will perish.
Would you have done the same thing?
Yeah, I want to think so. I don't think winning would ever be worth an 8-year-old's life.
I don't think I would.
You would just take yours and go?
Yes, but not. Part of it is I like to win. I'm highly competitive. But part of it is also I'm very logical, sequential step planner. Plan, get my person, go. Yeah. Either the other 3 wouldn't register to me because that's not, like, they're not on my to-do list.
It's not an actual choice you're making, like, of...
Right, because I've already made my list. Like, my to-do list is planned. This is what I'm doing, and I'm getting you. And yes, I know you're here, but you're on somebody else's to-do list, and so I just get mine and go without any of that consideration.
Yes.
Like, I think that would be my initial thought, or I wouldn't even notice. Like, go, got mine. Like,
you're focused on your thing.
Yes. Check. I got you. Got to you. Check. Got you out. Check. Got you up. Check. Like, that's it. And so I tend to miss, just in general in my life, I tend to miss those kind of bigger picture things sometimes because it's not in my immediate narrow focus. I'm not a big picture person.
I am not a narrow focus person. I would notice all 4 and wonder how much more breath they had left in them. And, oh, wow. Yellow eyes. Oh, wow. Rock. Oh, wow. I gotta get them all up now. Like, how are we gonna do this?
I would be like, they're down here. Obviously, they're not dead. Somebody took care of it. Got my guy.
I would overanalyze and probably be very fearful for them. Like, and let the minutes tick away as I was trying to make a decision.
I would get my guy and go.
And it would become a morality or where I stand morally on this over, complete my task and go, because I don't complete tasks. Every step of my task is kind of kiltered off course.
And it says that for people like me and like Cedric, that it wasn't a morality thing. Does that reflect on their morality? It does. I don't think so, because it's just, this is what I have to do. That's not what I have to do. That's what you have to do. You got it.
Right.
I got mine.
I agree.
It's just because there's not enough of that thinking going on. It's just,
and I mean, and had they all like could have perished down there, and I don't know, you waste time and then you end up not saving Ron, and not that that's what happened, but what could happen is you trying to save everybody, nobody ends up benefiting. So,
I always assumed if Ron hadn't saved the little sister, the mer people would have brought her up.
You mean Harry? Or do you mean Ron helping?
No, I mean Harry. I'm tired. It's fine. Yeah. I think if Harry hadn't bothered, like if he had just taken his person and Cedric and Crumb came and took their people and Fleur never showed up because I think the kid would have been fine. I really do.
I think she would have been fine too. I just think it's very, not even just like, it's malicious the way they put their fate in their hands like that. Like, and if you're really listening to the song and that's distracting you, that's...
Right. And they're down there singing it. And I think in the moment, it makes complete sense.
And it's creepy and it's dark and it's...
Yes. You don't know what it was like.
Yeah.
So I'm not disagreeing with that. I just don't know. Like, I'm sure she would have been fine looking back, you know?
I bet she would have too.
Yeah. All right. Question 3. Mm-hmm. Why is Ron the thing Harry will miss the most?
I mean, he's like his first friend, right? His first real tie to like something or like a family, a real family that I think that for Harry is something that he will always wish he had or aspire to have. I I just think Ron, as much as Ron sees Harry as like the big top dog who's famous and this and that and the other, Harry envies Ron in so many ways.
So it's not just that he's friends, it's that Ron gives him the family he doesn't have, even to like a lifeline to that.
Yes, like
in a way Hermione doesn't, even though Hermione is his really close friend also.
Yes.
Okay, I'll go with that. Question 4. How does this description of mer people mesh with other depictions that you know of?
Not well. Not well at all.
Oh, why do you say that?
Well, I think of a mer person. They can be kind of creepy, and these are definitely creepy. I mean, King Trident, totally scary man.
True.
Totally, yeah.
I'm with you.
But then you got, Ariel up on the rock singing. I mean, cutest little thing in the world. These are a little terrifying, but it makes sense in the aquatic realm of how deep they're describing the lake being and their coloring. Oh man, but they are super creepy.
Here we go. The mer people had grayish skin and long, wild, dark green hair. Their eyes were yellow, as were their broken teeth, and they wore thick ropes of pebbles around their necks. They leered at Harry as he swam past. One or two of them emerged from their caves to watch him better, their powerful silver fishtails beating the water, spears clutched in their hands.
I think the broken teeth part is what really sells it for me. Like,
yeah, for me it's the gray skin and the dark green hair. Like, it looks like rocks with algae.
Yes.
It's it fits the environment. It's just not, seashell bras.
Yeah, the camouflage ability and like how creepy that can be. And Harry talks about only being able to see like just in front of his face. And did he get like fish eyes when he goes down there? Because did his glasses stay on? Like, I wonder about his vision. Who knows?
I didn't even think about that.
I wonder, like, because he talks about only being able to see. I might have it in my notes, but I'm sure you'll be able to find it.
No, I don't see anything about his glasses.
Mm-mm.
Well, he was straightening them on his eyes when Dobby woke him up, so he was wearing them.
Yes.
So it was mentioned. Yeah, no, I just read the whole section again from when Dobby wakes him up.
So in my notes right here, it doesn't say anything specifically about his glasses except what you just said. I have he like eats the what's it called? And then he dives in. He was swimming like super fast down, I believe. And then he said something about his eyesight being only able to see some feet or something. Or
he noticed how clearly he could see and how he no longer seemed to need to blink.
Yes.
That was listed in there. But I don't know if the glasses are still on or not.
That's crazy. But
yeah, that is crazy. Yeah, good catch. All right.
I didn't even know it was a catch.
It was a good one.
Thanks.
Here we go. Question 5.
All right.
Which method of underwater breathing would you like to try? So we had gillyweed, we had weird shark head, and we had the bubble head charm because both Cedric and Fleur used them. I
mean, personally, I'd like to try scuba first, but, that's just practical. Next, I think I would go with the bubble head charm because I also don't understand why that was. I mean, it's just practical in my head too. Just get yourself a pocket of air and go on with your bad self.
Well, yeah, I think I would go with bubblehead. One, because the gillyweed obviously wears off, and that's terrible. I gag reflex and like texture issues. No thanks.
Yeah, no.
But I also
shrimp.
No, I don't eat most seafood, so no. But even worse would be turning myself into a shark head. That sounds even worse because how do I know I'll turn back? I mean,
I think turning into it badly sounds really bad.
Yes.
It would be pretty cool. I mean, could you imagine the mommy shark songs your kids would sing about you? Oh, yeah. That'd be awesome.
That would be awesome.
That would be cool.
Yep. But the bubblehead, I bet it can last as long as you need it to.
I wonder, or does your oxygen
make a really big bubble?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or you can come up to the top for a little bit. Make it, I don't know. Or you can do it. Yeah, refill.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good thought. But I would definitely do Bubblehead. That would be my. All right, so we're going to jump into our chapter superlatives. So, Abby, what was your favorite line?
My favorite line is, she seemed to be taking the library's lack of useful information as a personal insult. She seemed to be taking the library's lack of useful information as a personal insult. It had never failed her before.
That was one of my favorites. I had picked 3, and I'm so glad you picked that one because, like, it's so wrong that there's no, like, there should be an answer. Obviously, other people had answers. Mm-hmm. It should have been in there.
I love that is how, like, you are with her with this. This is an injustice.
It's wrong because the answer is there.
And to me, I'm like, as a kid that studied and tried so hard, but just did it. I wasn't so good at the studying. It wasn't even that, but school was not easy for me. The fact that this, like, brainy, I don't want to say know-it-all, but, like, somebody who puts so much stock.
She knows everything because she can find everything.
Yes, and she knows where to seek this knowledge. Like, having difficulty for the smartest girl that I've ever read about, I was like, thank God. Like, somebody, for once, maybe she'll understand, or maybe, I'm not so bad. But that was, like, where I came from with it. Like, oh, it's nice to see an attempt and failure sometimes, for me personally.
I think that's another reason why I like this line, because it's okay to not get everything. It's okay to not know everything. It's okay to not always be able to do everything. And a lot of the time, her do everything.
But I like that she takes it. It seems to me, it comes across to me as like she takes it like a personal challenge. It's not like, this isn't fair and I'm supposed to know, it's not a.
She's not going to whine about it.
No, she's like, fine. I will just dig my heels in and read 17 more books. Like,
because I'm going to find this.
Yeah, because it's here. So I like her perseverance, but then she gets stolen.
Yeah, I know. Because she would have found it.
She would have.
Yes. Okay, so I have a runner-up favorite line and then an actual favorite line. I'm not allowed to choose two. Luke's made that very clear. You can have backups, but you got to pick one. So my backup favorite line is, "There you go, Harry," Ron shouted over the noise. "You weren't being thick after all. You were showing moral fiber." Like, okay, so you were being an idiot, but maybe your idiocy worked out in your favor. So that's fine.
I don't really get it, but good job.
Right. It's not what I would have done, but I guess you're not in trouble.
Nobody asked me,
All right, so here's my actual favorite line. And it's like the way reverse feeling. So my first favorite, my runner-up was like Ron being excited. And this is beforehand. And it says, "Just as it had before he faced the horntail, time was slipping away as though someone had bewitched the clocks to go extra fast. There was a week to go before February the 24th. There was still time. There were 5 days to go. He was bound to find something soon. 3 days to go. Please let me find something. Please." With one sentence, 2 sentences, JK completely embodied that sense of panic, building and building and building. Because the closer you get without an answer, the less likely you are to find an answer because you're so panicky, because you're so close without an answer. It's this vicious cycle.
And hopefully you've done some research, and at this point, it's looking bleak.
Right.
But I think everybody's been there. It's a set of panic. Like,
there's no way out.
Yeah.
All right. So now we go into who was your chapter MVP.
I chose Dobby.
Yay!
Yes. I think this task doesn't happen without Dobby for Harry, for sure. I think he would have just... I don't even know if he would have shown up, even if he was awake. Like, I'm not sure. And I had a good thought about Dobby. It's gone.
Okay. That's all right.
That's all right.
All right. So my runner-up, because my first choice was Dobby as well. Like, Dobby, 100%. Like, without him, this would not have happened. He pulled it off. But there was somebody else who I think, I wouldn't say necessarily helped Harry's growth, but had their own moment of growth that happened that I want to appreciate, and it was Fleur. Because up until this point, she has been a strong, confident, kind of overbearing, not very kind, like, don't mess with me because I'm top dog kind of girl. It's fine. But in this chapter, we see her fail. And she fails in the most humble way possible. She knows she messed up. She takes ownership that she messed up. She does nothing but show concern for the person, her sister, who is affected by her messing up. She's appreciative to Harry and Ron, who fixed her mistake. And when they awarded her points, she was like, I don't deserve any. Like, honestly, like, I didn't do it. Not, oh, well, at least, or, oh, I can't believe, or, oh, giving excuses about the Grindylows who attacked. Like, I didn't do it. Owning the mistake. I really appreciate that from her. It shows very strong character.
I will second everything you just said there. I am a firm believer that you win gracefully or you win humbly and you lose without excuse. Mm-hmm. And that is, I mean, she did all those things in one little quick package, but there was no excuse and only concern for her loved one. That was the right person for her. And it's nice to see, you know, the big, tough, top dog, anybody, girl, boy, doesn't matter, have that softer side. Or persona is, I don't know.
It makes me wonder a bit about how champions are chosen. Like, I wonder if it may not just be the people who are the best at things, but it might be people who have that strength of character, because we know Cedric's a good guy.
Yep.
Crumb has seemed like a good guy, you know, and now Fleur, Harry, okay, fine. He's Harry Potter. He's fantastic. We know it's his book, but Fleur now is showing real strength of character in how she loses.
Yep.
And how gracefully and humbly and just with, I can't even think of the word, with honor. She loses with honor. And it just makes me contemplate, probably something to ponder on as we go on, is that why part of the reason why those four were chosen as opposed to somebody who may not have lost with grace.
Right. Like their magical skill or their other accolades. What they're really looking for is, what are they really trying to seek out?
Right. Is it strength of character more than...
So then your question of an undoable task just becomes really...
Wouldn't that be awesome? Like,
oh, I mean, yes, but...
For that group of people who maybe have so much integrity, and I think that would really be an interesting challenge.
Like magical, like shipwrecked.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. We did it. We made it to the end. You can find us on social media at Not Named Podcast. You can find us there on Twitter and on Instagram. You can send us your digital owls at thepodcastthat@gmail.com. You can also find us on our website, thepodcastthat.com, where you can find this show and all of our shows. Find the shows. You can find ways to support us and check out our blog. We've got a blog written by the amazing Gretchen. We have t-shirts available on TeePublic, our link. And we also have a Patreon. You are welcome to join our Imaginary Legion by joining our patreon.com/stayimaginary and see this show and all of our shows and the special releases that we do.
Subscribe and rate. This is just different. It's like one word off from... Subscribe and rate on iTunes. Listen to this Not Named podcast on Radio Public. It's free, easy to use, and helps listeners like you find and support shows like ours. When you listen to our show on Radio Public's Android or iOS app, everyone benefits.
So that wraps us up until next week, when myself and someone will discuss chapter number 27.
Padfoot returns. Stay imaginary.
Thanks.